Okay, well, I think it's pretty much guaranteed. Unless we take care of those tentacles, we can't get the 4th plate.
Yep.
So we need to figure that out. I wonder if the numbers coincide with this slate.
Maybe. I guess it's just a case that we need an item that makes something appear on that slate.
I guess so. Yeah, I haven't technically gone into this, but like as far as the hierarchy in school, I mean, I spent time on both ends, roughly. Like I spent a little... I don't know how I pulled this off, Romney, but I actually had a girlfriend that was popular. And part of that was because she lived in a rich neighborhood, and so all the rich kids were by default popular, but most of the time I spent like being kind of the outlier. So if people wonder why my experience is what it is, it's because I saw the popular kids, wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
And so not meaning to cut into your stuff, but just like I have reasons why I don't like school.
Yeah.
Right? I have reasons, and I will at least say that like college was a little bit better for me, but K through 12 wasn't.
Yeah, and the sad part is during my junior and senior years, because our school kind of got known as the easy school because they tried making our like core curriculum stuff as easy as possible to fit the film stuff in.
Yeah.
We ended up getting a lot of the deadweight kids who kind of tried bringing a lot of that hierarchical stuff with them, and so it was kind of a case of where while most people think, oh yeah, you had this hierarchy, it was just a case of it kind of led to almost this us versus them sort of mentality between those of us who were there to actually learn and to actually make movies, and then the ones who were there clearly to just get through school easily and not actually try.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, yeah,
for crying out loud, when my mom was thoroughly convinced I was going to be an actor, she tried to get me into something like that too, where it was like it was a strict acting school, except it wasn't.
Yeah.
She tried to get me into, I think it was called Ben Franklin Academy, and it was not what she thought it was. All right, it was not a school dedicated to the arts or like having the education but also having the full-on dedication to the arts. Wasn't that at all.
Like the kind of schools that offered that, there was our school, and then there was the Salt Lake Academy of Performing Arts.
Yeah,
because we had a lot of students that transferred to East Hollywood from the Academy.
I think she tried to get
Arts.
me into that, and my grades wouldn't have mattered for that.
Yeah, and so as of like other high school experiences, again, there are some good, some things that I'm really happy that I took part in, but then others, well, there are things that...
Did you take part in, like, extracurricular stuff like Alex did?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I mean, in my sophomore year, I did try out for the school play, and of course there was a lot riding on it because it was the first year our school was doing any sort of play, and it was Fiddler on the Roof. And a friend of mine kind of pressured me into auditioning, and then I ended up getting one of the lead roles, which...
Nice.
In hindsight, I could tell kind of pissed him off because he had more music experience and stuff like that. But it was funny because I was on good terms with the music teacher. He wanted me to take part because I was a fairly decent singer. And so he initially wanted me for the rabbi. And then the acting teacher was having us read sides for auditions. And I wasn't even on
the... sorry to interrupt, but are we on the second floor?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to go all the way down the hallway to the left, and I think that's what we need to find.
So
Oh, wait, hold on.
So, Holloway...
Oh, you know what? It's not even on this floor. Give me a second.
Okay.
We need to... Okay, so we need to go... I think it was... Where was the storeroom? The basement?
Yeah, the basement.
We need to go to the basement, and that should have what we need.
Okay.
But, yeah, sorry, continue.
So yeah, basically, we were reading sides, and I wasn't even auditioning for the part, but they were going through people who were trying out for Teve, and they needed... No, actually, like, they were just trying different parts, trying to find people for Teve, trying to find people for the constable.
Okay.
And during one of the... And just other characters, and so they had me read for the constable to just help out. But then the acting teacher and the singing and the music teacher, they liked how I read as the constable.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, crap. With like the music teacher wanted me for the rabbi, the acting teacher wanted me as the constable, and so they were just like, well, what can we do? It's like, well, why don't we have him play Perchik? And and so I got to play Perchik.
There you go.
Yep, and
That's the way that it should go, though. Like, I actually like stories like that where somebody comes in for a very minor role and then all of a sudden they get a lot more responsibility than they wanted.
yeah, and that experience actually led to what would technically be considered my first kiss as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So already a positive.
Well, to a point. It was the aftermath that kind of made life kind of hell. Not that anything that the person I was acting opposite did. Like the girl who played Hoddle, she was an experienced actress. She had done community theater most of her life, and she was a really good sport. She knew I was nervous about a lot of it and was really willing to. What the hell?
Oh, we are cornered. Where are we at on our health? Okay, I'm so glad we checked. So glad we checked.
I'll use this one. We have
Yeah,
more.
let's just use more of the first aid kits. Okay, now...
But yeah, like the actress who played Hoddle, she was a real good sport. She knew I was nervous and worked with me because she was the seasoned veteran, whereas I was the greenhorn.
Yeah. That's nice of her, though.
Yeah, and so a lot of it was the aftermath. I mean, for lack of any better explanation, I kind of had difficulty separating... Huh.
Sound is heard. Hold, bring that up. It's locked. Oh, it's not saying it anymore. A sound was heard from beyond the door. Okay, so what could have been?
All right. Well, let's see.
Still need to make our way down to the basement.
So this is the kitchen. But yeah, like to kind of oddly fitting that we're discussing this while playing Silent Hill, but there was a brief period of time where I was, having trouble separating reality from fantasy, and that's kind of where a lot of the...
But that kind of happens when you're in a school for the arts, a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, given my own history with things like depression and stuff like that, it was to a very, almost terrifying degree.
Okay.
And so... the aftermath of that, again, nothing against her. She was a good sport, and she probably still is one of the most kindest people you could ever hope to meet.
Okay.
The problem was just my way of processing a lot of different emotions that I hadn't felt before. It was a transformative experience. It was kind of one of those sucked that it happened but needed to happen sort of experiences.
Your first kiss is what you're talking about.
Not so much the first kiss, but like the aftermath, kind of where my mind went afterwards, because again, I subsisted on a very steady diet of, romance, manga, and anime, and had some very skewed perceptions about how relationships actually worked. Yes. And it was basically an experience that led to, basically the real world kicking me in the nuts, and it was very much one of those cases of I needed that reality check.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and so...
I have a feeling there's more to this story, but I'm kind of worried about prodding it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll just at least ask this. Did your brain kind of tell you were in a relationship at that point?
Kinda. It was more I was trying to do certain things and thinking that would lead to a relationship, not realizing that was not how it worked. I mean, I was one of those people that fell into that friend zone thought trap for a long while. And... yeah, okay. It wasn't pretty.
Makes a lot of sense.
Like, I didn't do anything super horrible, but it was one of those cases where in hindsight I realized, yeah, this is why things played out the way they did.
Mm-hmm. Because...
yeah, that's why I have a particular hatred for a certain anime series titled Maburaho, because that's where a lot of the destructive ideas came from.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had a similar experience to that.
Yeah,
not because for you it sounds to me like it was mostly on your end because she was a good sport about it, but
yeah, she was a good sport, and in hindsight was dealing with her own problems, but was very good at hiding it. And it was just a case where I realized that I had to basically it got to the point where I realized I had to kind of step away and actually reflect and really think about things.
Yep. A similar experience happened for me. Crap, we're supposed to find something in the storeroom, in the basement.
Okay, the storeroom, okay.
Yeah, so we're supposed to find something in there that will help us with the tentacles.
All right.
So what basically happened is at this point my mom had officially become convinced that I was destined for acting greatness, and she moved me into that Benjamin Franklin Academy, which didn't work out for a number of reasons. And then when I came back to a public middle school, the one that I was registered to go to, their theater teacher was doing a production of Taming of the Shrew with some liberal aspects put to it. Let's put it that way. It was going to be a modern telling. So for some reason she thought it'd be a really great idea for all of the characters to be played by thug rappers. And just to kind of spoil things for people, all of your main actors were white as a sheet. So that wasn't going to work out, right? It was basically going to be looking at like Eminem wannabes.
So basically Vanilla Ice.
Yes,
so
pretty much.
A cast full of Vanilla Ice wannabes.
And so I actually, and this is why I'm giggling at it, because I was one of them, and I thought it was stupid and didn't say anything. But I was supposed to be I think his name is Lucencio. So he's one of the characters that gets a relationship. And the girl that got cast is my opposite, timid girl, just absolutely timid girl. Like she didn't want to do the acting class. I think she had to do it just for
electives.
Electives and whatnot. And so she got put opposite me. And at that point, since I had tried going the actor route and my mom had talked to the teacher, that teacher was then painting me as like this acting veteran. Like I might as well have been like Macaulay Culkin. I've done movies at this point. And so she got put opposite, and so she relied a lot heavily on me. And there was a debate early on of like whether or not kissing scenes would be done, because you're talking about early teens, right? They're probably not going to be able to take it well, especially since a lot of the guys in the class were fucking pranksters.
Yeah.
They were not going to make that easy. She then eventually decided, I'm going to do it. We're going to do kissing scenes, except we're going to do what some people would call faux kissing.
Yeah.
To those who don't understand what that is, it's basically implying that there's kissing, like you get as close, but you keep your lips just strict in. Like you don't start doing the smooching.
Yeah.
You keep them strict, but nobody can tell the difference if you're in an audience. Okay? Which obviously this girl was very happy about.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, I don't have to worry about this. And let's just say we had a bit of an accident on set. And by that I mean I got sneezed on. I'm sorry, girl, if I'm telling the story you don't want me to. I haven't talked to her in years, so
yeah.
I think the last time I saw her was in middle school, but she accidentally sneezed and did the kissing motion and got me. And I was a little shocked by it, and she was freaking out. So bad, in fact, she told her dad on me.
Wow.
Well, she's like, I felt I had to tell my dad that happened. I'm laughing the whole way because, like, part of me is looking at this going, oh, that's so innocent of you.
Yeah.
And the other time, as a teenage boy, I'm like, yes, I kissed a girl, and I didn't have to do a damn thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily for me, it was a case where I was paired with someone who knew what she was doing, and we kind of just used the fact I was nervous. We kind of added that to Perchik's character, made him kind of more of a bookish nerd, someone who's like clearly passionate and is confident when talking about his ideals, about like the rights of the workers and stuff like that. But then for the scene where Perchik proposes to Hoddle, we kind of use that fact of, okay, well, let's use the fact that you haven't really done this before, and we'll use that as this character.
But long story short, when this production officially went down, I had an evil eye from her dad, and I never knew why. I now know why, because I'm a dad. But I was like, I think that's your dad. I even pulled her aside. I'm like, that's your dad, right? And he's like, yeah, that's my dad. And he's like, does he hate me or something?
Yeah.
As a parent, I now understand, but I didn't before then. Crap. Okay, so
yeah, I'm stumped because we can't get into the storeroom because the storeroom is locked.
Let me see if there's it's locked, so we need a key. Okay, so head for 304. Okay, so go back up to the third floor. They're saying that we have to do something with a TV and a VCR.
Okay.
Oh, you'll hear something break, then head to room 301 and go inside. You'll find a bird cage, but it seems that the bird flew the coop.
Okay, so up to the third floor. Yeah, and
there you go. You have high school stories from Drak and Romney.
Yeah, and again, there are some things I did in high school that were cringy that I still don't know what I was thinking.
We all did.
Yeah, like publishing a series of self-insert Final Fantasy fan fiction. Like, it's one thing to just write it. I literally started a whole literary magazine and, gave it to people to read.
Oh, and I've told the story that, high school was when I actually started writing, and I basically wrote an entire script and had tons of stuff, and then found out it was ripping off Saint Seiya, and I didn't even know what Saint Seiya was, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is my idea.
Yeah.
And immediately lost all heart. Like, I'm just like, my writing career, even though it hasn't started at this point, is completely over. Because I literally copyrighted something I wasn't aware of.
Well, technically you didn't copyright it, you just copied.
No, I just copied it.
Yeah, which...
I had different rights to it, but, I looked at Saint Seiya and I went, this looks way too similar.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least we found another save.
And for the record, don't do what I did, people. Don't stop writing. I literally went, my writing career's over because all I'll ever do is plagiarize. And don't do that, people. Just keep writing. You'll eventually start figuring crap out that's genuinely your own.
There's...
shotgun shells. Yes. Okay, so
there's the TV with the VCR. So I'm assuming...
there's no tape for you to view. Leave the room and head to 304.
Which is probably the next one over.
Okay. You'll notice a metal plate. Head back into the hall. You'll notice a door. Basically, it sounds to me like we need to trigger a series of events. And then we'll get what we need to get into the storeroom. Yeah, I think even Romney could tell you people, don't worry about whether or not you're going to plagiarize. Of course, there are going to be some works that are going to sound really similar to what you've read. Why? Because you're being inspired by that.
Yeah, and then just, luckily I had some, because although the stories themselves were unreadable garbage, I still got some moderate encouragement, because it wasn't just me inserting myself into the stories, it was inserting other students into the stories as well. It was...
steel plate, okay.
Yeah, like, the stories themselves, they basically... I threw them up on my DeviantArt profile back in the day, and I just haven't looked back because DeviantArt kind of scares me now.
It's funny. I have kind of the same viewpoint, but I find it funny because the channel artist and Marta, who's worked on the podcasts and everything like that, she has a DeviantArt page, and she advertises the stuff that she makes for us are on her DeviantArt page. So I make sure that we advertise that too.
Yeah, and I mean, I still, I had the DeviantArt page, I started it back in high school, and then
But I'm kind of like you, I don't want to look at DeviantArt. There's too many things that creep me the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, and so basically, those stories I wrote, I got some encouragement, particularly from a teacher, because it was, like you said, although that wasn't great, I was still writing.
Yeah.
It was a full-on series, and it was derivative of a lot of stuff. Like, I pulled from a bunch of influences from shonen, from video games, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I took tons... The script originally that I took from, a lot of it was inspired by things like Mystic Knights of Tir-na-nog, of Power Rangers a little bit, of Warriors of Virtue, for crying out loud. That, if people remember that movie.
Yes, the Kung Fu Kangaroos.
The Kung Fu Kangaroos.
Which honestly should have been the title.
But it's one of those things that, if I actually had a regret in life, it's that I stopped writing when I did. Because I literally went, all I could ever do is plagiarize, and I didn't even mean to do that. And I just stopped writing altogether, and my dad never understood why. Well, I mean, rest in peace, Dad. Now you know why. Because I felt like all I was ever going to do was going to be criminal. Oh, look at that.
There's the blood pack.
Blood pack. Crap, we were right, weren't we?
Yeah.
We have to feed blood to it.
Yep. And yeah, and so... the cool thing is that, one of the teachers, and again, probably one of my favorite teachers in high school, Mark Davis, he encouraged me to keep going with some of the stuff I'd been doing. He actually saved those stories and had them in his classroom. And he said, hey, when it comes to the reunion, I'm going to pull these out, and you're going to see how far you've come, sadly.
Which is a good reason to do that. I kind of wish a lot of that work is gone now. I would love to see my way of writing now as compared to when I wrote the stuff in high school. I really would. But unfortunately, I didn't keep it because I was afraid I was going to get sent to trial, for something that was out of my control.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I would advise people if you want to start out writing. Don't beat yourself up, okay?
Again, there's a reason that there's the adage, dare to suck.
Dare to suck a little, even just a little bit, because everybody's... I hate to go with the video game adage, everybody starts at level 1, right? Everybody is going to suck as a writer right off the bat, whether you're writing poetry, whether you're writing commercials. You need to get into the flow and actually do a majority of it. Now, I write pretty damn good, but most of the stuff I write is commercial. So, at that point, like, I haven't dared try to write a novel or an actual story at this point. I kind of want to, I just don't have time.